Were you one of those kids who used to race to the TV to watch Ben 10? Then get ready, because we're about to take you on a journey through Ben Tennyson's story from start to finish. If you remember the first glimpses of the Omnitrix, hit the subscribe button now. The story begins. This season consists of 20 episodes in which we follow the transformation of an ordinary kid into a hero who will change the fate of the universe thanks to the Omnitrix. So come on. Let's go back to that unforgettable summer holiday. Episode 1, and then there were 10. It all starts with this episode. While on a summer holiday with his grandfather, Max, and his cousin, Gwen, Ben discovers a capsule that has fallen from the sky while exploring the forest. Inside is a strange-looking watch that emits a green light. At first glance, it appears to be an ordinary device, but it is actually technology that will change Ben's life forever. As Ben approaches it curiously, the watch flies off and sticks to his wrist, becoming impossible to remove. Panicking, he presses the button and transforms into Heatblast for the first time. Watching this scene as children, we all imagined, what if I had a watch like that? If you had a watch like that, how would you use your fire powers in your first transformation? Chapter 2, Washington, D.C. In this chapter, Ben's first major enemy appears, the mad scientist Dr. Animo. He genetically modifies animals, turning them into giant mutants and plunging the city into chaos. As people flee in terror, Ben transforms into Wildmutt, a creature with feral instincts thanks to the Omnitrix. Wildmutt has no sight but an incredible sense of smell. Meanwhile, Gwen comes up with logical solutions and Max guides them with his combat experience. Working together, they neutralize the giant creature. The audience is clearly conveyed a message here. Power alone is not enough. It gains meaning when combined with intelligence and experience. When we were children, we watched it feeling scared, yet also wondering, what if one day I were part of such a team? So, which would you prefer? Wildmutt's sense of smell or Heatblast's fire? Chapter 3, The Kraken. A giant monster appears in a lake. The townspeople see this creature as a threat and the fishermen want to hunt it down. However, Ben transforms into Diamondhead and tries to stop the monster. Thanks to his hard crystalline body, he can withstand attacks and deliver powerful blows. But as the story unfolds, the truth emerges. Kraken is not evil, but a mother trying to protect her eggs. It has been misunderstood due to human greed. In this episode, heroism is not portrayed as fighting violence, but as empathy and seeing the truth. When most of us watched this episode as children, we felt a pang in our hearts. This is because for the first time, Ben chose to understand a monster instead of destroying it. Did you feel sorry for Kraken while watching it? Chapter 4, Permanent Retirement. Grandpa Max wants to visit an old friend. Although the town appears peaceful on the surface, it has actually been secretly taken over by aliens. The people are under their control without realizing it. Here, I transform into gray matter. Taking great risk with my small body, I sneak through narrow corridors and uncover the secret plan. Although he has no physical strength, he manipulates systems with his intelligence, disrupting the enemy's plan. Watching this episode as a child taught us that muscle power isn't necessary to be a hero. Sometimes intelligence and courage are the most powerful weapons of all. If you were gray matter, what invention would you create first? Episode 5, Hunted. 3 bounty hunters from across the galaxy pursue Ben in order to seize the power of the Omnitrix. From this point on, Ben's adventures will concern not only Earth, but space as well. He transforms into 4 arms and uses his massive fists to fight. He challenges his enemies with blows that shake huge trees. However, he soon realizes that he cannot fight alone. Without Gwen's tactics and Max's experience, surviving this battle would be impossible. The lesson of this episode is that heroism is not a solo endeavor, and that success comes with a reliable team. Watching this episode as children, we realized for the first time that Ben was not truly alone. Chapter 6, Tourist Trap. Mysterious events unfold at an amusement park. The culprit is Zombozo, a terrifying clown who steals children's laughter. Amidst the colorful balloons, masks, and magic tricks, a major threat lurks. Ben transforms into XLR8 and dashes between scenes at super speed. However, Zombozo's hypnotic powers put even him in a difficult position. It is here that Gwen's courage comes into play, foiling the clown's plan. We were really scared watching this episode as children. That laugh still rings in our ears. Sometimes heroism means facing your fears head on. Episode 7, Kevin 11. One of the most important turning points in the first season. Kevin 11 enters the scene. Although he seems like an ordinary kid at first, he absorbs the Omnitrix's energy and transforms into a dark version of himself. His body becomes a grotesque mixture of different aliens. Ben first encounters him on the subway, and the battle begins. We were all glued to the screen watching these scenes as kids. Kevin is a reflection of what would happen if Ben went down the wrong path. He uses his power irresponsibly and cannot control it. The conflict with him teaches us that power without responsibility leads to disaster. When you first saw Kevin, did you also wonder, could they be friends? Chapter 8. The Alliance. A gangster is empowered by Vilgax's technology, becoming a terrifying threat. Ben transforms into Upgrade in an attempt to control the machines and break through the enemy's armor. The real punchline is that Vilgax's dark shadow is beginning to dominate the season. Although he isn't visible, we sense his presence behind everything. When we were kids, we would watch this episode and get impatient, wondering, when is Vilgax going to show up? Episode 9. Last Laugh. Zombozo returns, and this time he is much more powerful. He increases his power by sucking the happiness out of the children. Ben transforms into 4 arms to fight him, but that alone isn't enough. Gwen uses her intelligence and Max uses his courage. Together, the trio defeat Zombozo. This episode shows that evil never gives up. As children, we realize that true heroism isn't about winning a battle, but being able to rise again when evil returns. Episode 10. Lucky Girl. This episode focuses on Gwen. She finds a talisman and becomes a hero, taking the name Lucky Girl. The spotlight is on her this time. Gwen's newfound independence makes Ben jealous, but ultimately, they realize that teamwork is more important than anything else. When we watched this episode as children, we recognized Gwen's future potential for the first time and realized that she could be just as much of a hero as Ben. Would you like to see more of Lucky Girl? Chapter 11. A small problem. Ben transforms into gray matter, but due to an Omnitrix malfunction, he is stuck in this small form. Normally a powerful fighter, Ben now has to rely solely on his intelligence. He navigates through laboratories and narrow tunnels, avoiding detection by his enemies in order to devise a plan. Meanwhile, Gwen and Max are deeply worried about his absence. Watching this episode as children, we all realize that heroism isn't just about physical strength, it's about using your brain even in the toughest situations. If you were gray matter, what invention would you create first? Episode 12. Side Effects. Ben catches a simple cold. However, due to the nature of the Omnitrix, this illness also affects his alien forms. When Heatblast sneezes, firestorms erupt. When XLR8's nose runs, he loses control of his speed, and when Four Arms coughs, the surroundings shake. As children, we found this episode hilarious because seeing superheroes get sick felt very human. This episode reminds us that even superheroes have weaknesses, just like ordinary people. Chapter 13. Secrets. This is one of the episodes that completely changes the tone of the season. Vilgax finally emerges from behind the scenes and takes center stage. His massive body, mechanical limbs, and cold stare strike fear into the audience immediately. We discover that the Omnitrix is the catalyst for an intergalactic war. Gwen and Max's holiday is over. This journey has turned into a battle. When we watched this episode as children, we all held our breath and said, now things are getting really serious. Episode 14. Lucky Girl returns. Gwen assumes the identity of Lucky Girl again, but this time things are different. The amulet's power has grown stronger and become harder to control. Ben feels overshadowed by her, which creates tension between them. Ultimately, however, Gwen realizes that true heroism is not measured by strength, but by heart. When we watch this episode as children, we sense that Gwen would play a much more important role in the future. Episode 15. A Small Problem, Part 2. Ben is trapped in gray matter form again, but this time he faces real enemies. Moving almost invisibly in his tiny body, he uses his intelligence to overcome traps and vanquish giant opponents. This episode teaches us that even if you're small, you can defeat the biggest enemies if you have courage. Chapter 16. Ghost Freaked Out. This chapter contains one of the series' most terrifying moments. It is revealed that Ghost Freak, one of Ben's favorite forms, actually has an independent consciousness. He blends into the shadows and escapes from the Omnitrix as a terrifying entity. It is no longer Ben's, but a servant of darkness. Many children watching this scene turned on the lights. Ghost Freak's chilling voice and gaze demonstrate just how dark the world of Ben 10 can be. Episode 17. Game Over. Ben and Gwen are trapped in a video game. The rules of the virtual world are completely different. XLR8 speed functions differently and Four Arms power is restricted by digital barriers. Here, the duo must test both their intelligence and their teamwork. When we were kids, we all used to watch this episode and imagine, if I were sucked into the game, which hero would I choose? The episode also subtly references the addictive and dangerous aspects of technology. Chapter 18. Tough Luck. This time, the spotlight is on Charmcaster. When magic and technology combine, things become even more complicated. Gwen's interest in magic plays a pivotal role in the team's rescue mission. While Ben uses his alien powers, Gwen stands out with her intelligence and courage. Watching this episode as children, we realized that heroism wasn't just about Ben, but also about Gwen finding her own path. Episode 19. Last Laugh, Part 2. Zombozo returns once more. He has become a formidable enemy. In his Diamondhead form, Ben faces him one last time. He shatters the stage lights with his crystal fists, but with the help of Gwen and Max, his plan is thwarted. This episode demonstrates the tenacity of evil. When we were kids, we all watched these scenes and said, Zombozo is definitely finished this time, but he always made a comeback and remained terrifying. Episode 20. Secret Secrets of the Omnitrix, season's grand finale. Vilgax attacks the world with full force. As his ship fills the sky, Ben is forced to use all of his alien forms, one after another for the first time. Heatblast fire, Forearm's fists, and Diamondhead's crystals are all called into action. But it is having Gwen and Max by his side that gives him his real power. The secrets of the Omnitrix are revealed, and the seemingly childish adventures turn into a universal war. As kids, we all held our breath, and were glued to the screen when Ben shouted, "It's hero time!" That was the moment he truly became a hero. The story of Ben Tennyson has earned a special place in both cartoon history and the hearts of viewers. The Omnitrix reminds us that we can all discover our inner potential, be brave, and stand up for what is right.